Okay, so ABNcast has moved inside at Farnborough International Airshow on the 4th day because the Great British weather is not playing ball today. It's tipping down outside. But actually, it's a really good idea to come inside in this particular chalet because we're in the Deutsche Aircraft chalet, and we are specifically in their customer experience centre.
Correct.
And behind the camera is a mock-up of their new D328 aircraft, of which there's lots of information and news we'll talk about in a minute. Introducing Anastasija Visnakova, who's the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Deutsche Aircraft. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for joining us on ABNcast, Anastasija. So we were here last night for Bavarian Beer Night. Thank you very much for hosting.
Thanks for being with us.
And there were some interesting updates on the aircraft that I just mentioned. So why don't you start by telling us what's the latest?
Right. Thanks a lot for being here, and thanks for visiting us in our Bavarian event, of course, yesterday. The weather is indeed very British, but also feels like home because I'm from Latvia, so it feels very, very good. Yes, coming back to what we have revealed yesterday during the media event, and the official press release came out just this morning. We have started construction of our first test aircraft in Oberpfaffenhofen in our headquarters, and this is a great milestone in the D328eco program, preparing for the first test flight in the Q3 2025.
Okay. So just tell us a bit about this aircraft.
Right.
It's got a history, hasn't it?
Correct.
It's been a long journey to get to this stage.
Right.
Just a little bit about that, and then what your hopes are for the future.
Absolutely. So we call ourselves a startup with 100 years of experience, really, because if you know Dornier, I mean, this is us. This is 328 100s and 200s that are still flying around today. Okay. We have approximately fleet of 150 plus aircraft that are operating today globally in different missions, really, in a passenger operation. Of course, VAP configuration. We have 26 aircraft with the U.S. Air Force. We have aircraft in ambulance configuration, and basically everything that you see here is yes, exactly. That's a possibility for this platform. The new D328eco is a derivative from the previous aircraft, but really it's very, very different in many, many ways. Yeah. So first of all, it's stretched. It's a 40-seater turboprop. It has brand new propulsion system, Pratt & Whitney 127 XDS. It has state-of-the-art, absolutely new Garmin G5000 avionics suite, all electrical new systems, the new propellers, new landing gear. The cabin is completely reworked out. So although it's a derivative, like from the certification point of view, that's a totally different aircraft. And this is, we call it the only truly turboprop of the 21st century. Okay. You're going to see the mock-up, and you will witness yourself. That is, it's a different level of operation, different level of flying. And of course, we put a lot of efforts and thought in the capabilities of the aircraft, because turboprop is normally operated in very specific environment, I would say. I mean, majority of them, right? So because the stall performance is necessary. It needs to be certified to fly over the mountainous areas, of course, a lot. And it should be robust to land on the unpaved runways. It should be quick, fast, and of course, sustainability is an important question to us as well. Therefore, the new propulsion system is compatible with SAF PTL from the entry into service, and which makes this aircraft a really next level of turboprop. Yeah.
So it's all derived from the Dornier, which is well known. If I was to go on a Dornier and compare it to the new aircraft, it'll feel very different.
It is very different. It is very different. I mean, some of the structures, of course, are similar or same, right? But in general, it's a new type. It's a new type certification in terms of the flying, and it's a new aircraft, of course, because it's brand new and very modern and technologically much advanced.
And what does the stretch, the biggest capacity? What does that mean for Deutsche Aircraft in terms of your scope to get this aircraft in operation more globally and doing different kind of routes, etc. Where do you see this aircraft really being utilized?
Right. So the 40-seater. So we are basically tapping into the segment of sub 50-seater aircraft operating today. So if we look globally today, there is opportunity approximately to 3,800 plus aircraft, and that includes refleeting of the aging fleet flying today, and I'm talking about the small regional jets, and also the turboprops in the same class. I'm talking about the market, new markets opportunities, the growing markets, and when we talk about the, let's say, the dimensions of the operations, they're very different. Of course, this is primarily the commercial passenger aircraft, but nevertheless, as I mentioned, we have a lot of aircraft flying today in the different missions. Approximately 30% of the fleet is flying today on the current 328 100s, 200s. In this, let's say, special mission, a multi-role capacity. We are focusing as well approximately 25 to 30% of the eco fleet to be, let's say, dedicated to that area because of the capabilities of the aircraft. They do allow and they do attract a lot of interest from the multi-role operators. And they are really different. So yeah, although our primarily focus is, of course, passenger commercial operation, regional connectivity and connecting remote places, I mean, the multi-role and special mission is very, very also important to us.
Yeah, and you see rising demand in those areas. And connectivity
absolutely.
Is ever more crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Eco suggests that it's got sustainability baked
Correct.
into it. So explain a bit about what the aircraft does in terms of operating more sustainably.
Yeah. So first of all, of course, the eco, when we say eco, it means not just in the air, but also on the ground. Talking about the eco in the air, or like aircraft itself, propulsion system that is compatible 100% with SAF PTL. The interesting fact is that these engines are able to operate on the jet fuel and SAF or PTL. Like we're focusing on PTL as e-fuels. Not just SAF as a half a SAF, of course, but it's important to remember that the nature of the operation or of the regional operation, they are so, I mean, they're very global, right? And we have to be very mindful which technologies we apply to which market. And in order for this asset, and the aircraft is an asset, right, to be versatile, truly globally in any environment, it has to be very flexible in terms of operation. So with this aircraft, you can go from point A where, let's say, SAF PTL is available on 100% SAF or blend, and you can come back on jet fuel if the SAF PTL is not available in this particular airport.
Sure. Okay.
So this is important, and this also, I mean, we talk about here not just applicability of the asset, but also about the longevity of the aircraft, and this is also important part of sustainability because it's probably not very sustainable to change the metal every 5 years. So we want this aircraft to be in operation for 15, 20 plus years.
Okay.
And therefore, this is why we selected this path with the PTL, because we believe this is a solution that can resolve a lot of sustainability questions today, and will be, we believe that it will be more and more available over the years. Talking about the eco on the ground, it's worth mentioning our final assembly line that is, we started to build this year, like a few months ago, and it's going to be built by according to the latest sustainability standards as well.
Okay.
Right. So we apply a lot of efforts and thinking on the holistic cycle of the process, not just aircraft itself.
The point of every one of these rolling off the production line, there's already an optimal or the limited amount of CO2 being used in the construction.
Absolutely.
That's all part of the plan. What timescales are we talking? You said when you expect to get the first aircraft in the skies, but what's going on after? How quickly will the ramp up be getting these things out into the market?
So we are so the entry into service of this aircraft is end of 27, and we will be producing 48 aircraft a year with the possibility to ramp it up to 65, because we have additional land available to for our premises, and this is the possibility. So let's say we can adjust to the market demand.
Yeah. And they're all being constructed the same in your HQ in Germany?
No. So the HQ will remain in Oberpfaffenhofen. It's not far from Munich, but the final assembly line is located in Leipzig. Right. It's not very far, though. I mean, it's still Germany, but the reason for that, like very, very different. So it's first of all availability of the resource, availability of the employees on the market, and the most important aspects. One of the most important aspects are that the Leipzig is first of all, it's a big technological hub, and second, it's a huge, it's the biggest hub of the DHL, working 24/7. operating 24/7, which is very important for aviation, for dispatch of the parts, etc. So we have selected this like really strategically, and from all perspectives, starting from financial availability of the skilled employees and of course the operational capabilities.
Yeah, let's talk about employees and talent. It's obviously a massive issue throughout the industry, not least particularly in the sort of engineering skills.
Correct.
Germany's got its hubs, so that's always easy to find the people in those areas where they sort of congregate. But how do you, as Deutsche Aircraft, how do you find the challenge of bringing in, recruiting, and then retaining the right skill level?
Yeah, indeed. The aviation, I think, is a very, very specific area. We see let's say, we have scarce resources in every aspect, be it supply chain, of course, or employees. But so far, we've been very lucky and very happy to see the huge interest. We have so today we have 550 employees plus, and we have 40 nationalities working for us. So majority, I would say 99% of all these employees are based in Oberpfaffenhofen, in our headquarters. The majority are engineering. Of course, so we have 40 nationalities. So we're bringing people from the other countries. We are supporting them with visas and things like that. And this is really the way to go, because we are a truly international company, and we're very proud of that. Going further, we're recruiting quite actively, and we see, multiple, and I'm talking about 100 applications per month from very skilled employees. And we are happy to see that interest of people in working in our company and staying there for many years and contributing to the eco program.
Yeah. I suppose the nature of the work is changing dramatically because the technology, the hardware is changing.
Correct.
Actually, it's not so much the hardware, it's the software that's baked into the hardware.
Yeah.
And as someone said to me earlier in this week, these things are now flying computers. So software skills and data and all that stuff are absolutely crucial. How much of that modern way of manufacturing has been used in the design and development of this aircraft?
Yeah, of course. There is a lot of very modern application of the technology today, like starting from artificial intelligence and how the aircraft itself is operating. So there is a lot indeed. Let's say this area is changing a lot, and I think it's a great progress, because it's of course relieves a lot of efforts for the employees, and it's also kind of consolidates the resources in many ways.
Yeah. What I'll talk about is future-proofing as well. And so the technology you put into an aircraft today, you talked about these things flying for 20 plus years. You don't want to be changing too much in that period. So if you can have software in there that can adapt as new things come along, that's obviously a great thing to do. Is that again, this aircraft got the ability to sort of evolve through its lifespan?
Yeah, absolutely, you're right. And if you look at the aircraft of this segment flying today, even being in production, these all are technologies from the 80s. Yes, they've been updated, but not really upgraded, like significantly evolved. Correct. This is why we call it like turboprop revolutions, with R in brackets, because it's rather evolution, which is like a natural process of development of the things. And when we talk about the technologies, just talking about the avionics, right? So you're going to see it's a Garmin G5000 suit. Everything is electronical, everything is built in. You have the screens, you have touch screens. Of course, there is a lot of switches as well, because that's a legal requirement. But nevertheless, the system is kind of plug and play. So whenever it comes as a legislation next, you just connect the wire and you upload the new features.
Software upgrade.
Exactly. It's just a software upgrade. It's we will not face the situation when, if you remember, there was a ADSB ins and outs, right? We really have to rip off the aircraft apart and just upgrade the things, and it's a huge ground time, therefore losses for the operator. And in this case, it's basically we have minimized this to maximum as it is possible today. And I think it's a great progress, and it's the way how it should be. Right.
What about the engines and the propulsions themselves? You've said the turboprop is a turboprop, and it can run off SAF and modern fuels. Maybe the future you want to be trying out electric, or different kinds of ways of propelling these aircraft. Is this aircraft ready for that kind of initiative as well?
Right. So in this particular moment for the eco, we're focusing on SAF and PTL, but nevertheless, so one of our is Deutsche Aircraft. One of our, let's say, big divisions or one of our priorities is research and technology as well. We do a lot of work in the research and technology. So we have a department working with together even with the German government. It's German DLR. It's an agency of developing of aerospace. It's like equivalent to NASA in the United States. Okay. And together with the government and also in the company, we are looking at many technologies. We are not agnostic to anything, and we are not ignorant to anything that is happening. We're actually very happy to see a lot of development in this regard. But to be honest with you, today we don't know the answer. What is the future? No. Is it hydrogen? We don't know. Yeah. Is it electrical? We don't know. Is it hybrid electrical? We also don't know. But we are looking in many directions to not to miss the let's say opportunity to use the technologies that makes more sense to this industry. Yeah. And of course, our R&D department, which is run by very, very smart people with PhDs and much smarter than me, and they could tell you more stories about that. Basically, they're researching every technology to assess if it's applicable or not to our industry, to aviation, aerospace, because a lot of things are simply not applicable due to many restrictions, infrastructure, legislation, certification, you name it. Therefore, yes, the today focus is PTL. Yeah. Or e-fuels, because this is a solution today, we believe. In 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, new technologies will be, for sure, and we will be ready to apply them as soon as they're going to be feasible from all the perspectives. Yeah. Because nevertheless, this is a big question, the technology and sustainability, but nevertheless the cost of operation and availability of the resource and let's say financial viability of the asset remains the main questions for the operators today. And this is also part of sustainability, to be honest.
Well, it is. Looking behind you, 50% more fuel efficient and low trip cost in its class.
Correct.
So, clearly, this is what the industry per se is looking for.
Absolutely.
From operations going forward. It's a very expensive industry to be in.
Correct.
Return on capital isn't great. I think IATA continues to make that point. And we've had COVID, and so a lot of airlines and operators are bearing the scars of that financially.
Absolutely.
So this is what the operators are looking for, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess the more you can do on that basis, the better.
Exactly. And this is also, we should look at this sustainability not just a purpose, just basically the solely purpose of the clean air, right? It is a holistic cycle. It's a holistic cycle of resources that you invest, the resources that you spend, like including financial resources. It's giving job to people, providing for their families, connecting them. In the end of the day, of course, people will not be traveling less, and operators are looking for the solutions that make sense to them from the business perspective, because this is business. I mean, this is not the charity. This is not for anything else, but this is, the operator should make money and continue their mission of connecting remote places or less remote places, depending on the nature of their operation. But yeah.
We've had the 4 days down at Farnborough this week, and so you've had a lot of conversations in the industry, get a sense of where the industry is. Where do you feel the industry is? It seems to be looking forward with a lot of positivity, but we know there's huge challenges as well.
Yeah, so. The challenges are great ahead of us and behind of us, of course, and I think the last 4 years teach us not to be too optimistic, but I think very cautiously saying, I think the signs of the industry today are great. People are not traveling less, regardless of all the predictions. So the necessity for the role of the aviation remains pivotal in economical development of the countries, and the industry is very focused on the sustainability, of course, and sustainable future of aviation. I think this is a combination of words. This is like being overused lately a little bit, which is like getting a little bit on the nerves of everyone. But nevertheless, it is important, and it's great to see that this is evolving, developing. If it's going to be applicable to our industry, I don't know, maybe to the other industry, perhaps the outcome will be. But a lot of interesting developments, a lot of startups. I think this is great, and a lot of capital as well is attracted to this matters, and I think we are happy to see that, and because in the end of the day, we will be all, getting the fruits of the research and technology and the outcome of it.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, short haul flying, it's probably the thing that we'll ought to cut back on. Is there a necessity to fly these short haul routes if you're going to be sustainable? Now, obviously, this aircraft will be operating in places where there isn't an alternative.
No, absolutely.
So it's easy to say that, much more difficult to do without really sacrificing a lot of key connectivity for people. And we live in a world where people want connectivity quicker as well. They want to get things to places.
Yeah, true.
They can't wait days and days, And so in some ways, this is something the industry needs to address because there is a demand there, but it has to do everything far more sustainable than ever in the past. And the spotlight is really on the industry, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is on the industry. Although, of course, if we're looking at this holistically from the holistic point of view of sustainability itself, we as an industry we are not contributing the majority of the CO2 emissions as such, right? So, and of course, there was different means of connectivity if they are available, as you rightfully say, but. Let's be realistic. First of all, they're not always available. They're not affordable financially, from time perspective as well, and they are not necessarily more sustainable in the end of the day. Because we can contemplate about this and discuss it, but I think in the end of the day, we need to really see the numbers and compare them and see what is more sustainable way of connectivity of the communities.
Yeah. So you've had this mock-up here for the past 4 days, and in this lovely chalet you've got at Farnborough. A lot of people have no doubt have come in and had a look. What's been the general feedback? What's been the sentiment?
So I think it's a fantastic chalet. We're very happy with the work of our team, and they did a tremendous job really to make it happen. And we actually had to bring the mock-ups here first and to build the chalet around it. So it was a bit of a logistical nightmare, but the team did a fantastic job.
Quite
really. It is indeed, and the feedback is tremendous, and we are very happy to see and host everyone. I think it's important to demonstrate what we have achieved so far, because it's a really achievement of our teams, and I think operators, partners, suppliers, industry, media, they all appreciate that, and I think everyone is like, when I'm seeing the reactions, I think everyone is quite surprised to see.
People feel there's a real, this is really hitting a gap in the market that is required.
Absolutely.
In what sense then? Because it's an area that needed new, fresh hardware. Is that really the key thing?
The hardware and the software, and I think people are a little bit tired of the monopoly. I mean, we all like having a choice, and the choice between good and the best. Competition is always good, and it always makes us more fitter and better every day. And absolutely, I think people are looking for the next step. So because they see so much development on the one hand with the startups and new technology and everything, but in the classical aviation as we know it, nothing tremendous been happening lately. Therefore, I think for them it's like a wow moment and a really great surprise what is coming next.
And for the pilots who will be eventually flying this thing, does it require a whole new set of training, or is it very intuitive as to what they're used to training?
So it's interesting because if we have the flight operation guys on the campaign, on the sales campaign, this aircraft is sold immediately. Because not just looking great as a aircraft itself, of course, when they got into the cockpit, it's a different game. It's absolutely different. Different story, right? And the interesting thing is that the Garmin, so majority of the pilots today are trained on the Diamond aircraft, and the Garmin the Garmin avionics suit is in the Diamond aircraft. Not the same suit, of course, but it's kind of conversion from the old iPhone to new iPhone. It's intuitive. Yes, it's a little bit more complex and maybe more functions, but it is very. It's much more easier transition, because in general, if we look at the classical turboprop, it's not easy to operate turboprop for pilots, especially not after the jets. And you have prop pilots and jet pilots, and there is always like a little bit of who is a real pilot, and it is indeed much more, let's say, much more difficult machine to operate normally, the turboprop, but not this one. Because of the avionics, it's a single lever turboprop. It's also like a huge breakthrough in this regard, because normally you have one lever for prop and engine on one side, on the other side.
Right.
This is a single lever aircraft, so that means that you have one lever for engine and prop on one side and on the other side. And the avionics is like very intuitive. So we had pilots here coming, or like flight operation guys coming, and when they sat down in the pilot chair, they were like, "This is so intuitive. Everything is here. Like this is amazing." So there is a lot of work invested in how the pilot feel in the cabin.
Yeah.
The workloads reduced significantly. It doesn't mean that it has an impact on his hours, how they work. This is driven by legislation, but how he feels, how he's cognitively fit to do the operation, because regional operators very often operate in a super difficult environment with obstacles, with weather, wind, and slopes, and short runways, and
tricky flying challenge.
It is a tricky flying, and this and flying the brand new aircraft with the avionics, which is easy, comprehensible, understandable. You don't have to lean back to switch something, and I mean it's a different game.
Yeah.
It makes their life easier.
Of pilots out there jealously watching the guys who do fly this, thinking I'd like to go and get one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why it's great to have flight operation guys on the campaigns.
Last night there was a few presentations we saw, very short videos, but one, it had all the different suppliers that you use as a manufacturer. It's very complicated. So many suppliers of all sorts, and Garmin is only one of many. How do you get around choosing which ones to go with, and then putting it all together to make sure that everything comes together to create basically a single product? Yeah,
so our supply chain does a tremendous job every day. We have today over 95% of suppliers already on board for our aircraft, for production. And of course, I mean, there are different means of selection, of course, and we have different criteria. One of the criteria would be very important to diversify our portfolio in order to, let's say, avoid the supply chain issues in the future as well. And it's, of course, there are other aspects as well, sustainability and financial, and how, let's say, the readiness of supplier, and many other aspects. It is indeed not an easy job to navigate. You're right, because so many suppliers, and how many elements you have in the aircraft. Sometimes you have supplier for very, very small item that might seem interesting for the outsiders, but this is how it's done in the industry. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of consideration behind, a lot of work, and very difficult work.
Yeah, fine. Well, look, our time is nearly up. So again, thanks for inviting us into the show.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
We've all been given last night a little bit of history, didn't we? We got a key ring. Just explain what that is on the key ring.
Yeah, so that's a little memorable thing. I know. To remember really about this moment, which is really historical and new. So this is a real skin of the aircraft. That is when we did the fuselage cut of the first test aircraft that we.
Video of last night.
You saw the video, and the press release went out today because we started to build our first test aircraft. So this is a really piece of 328 aircraft, and with some memorable words, just to remember this moment.
Yeah, good. Well, it's good to be here to witness history.
Thank you.
We wish you all the very best for the future. I'm sure.
Thanks so much.
It'll go smoothly. I'm sure it will. And there's always challenges, but I'm sure you're on the right path now. So, Anastasija, thanks very much for inviting us in and joining us on ABNcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and pleasure having you. Thank you.